Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, my Loverlies. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I am so happy you found me. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least where makeup's concerned, and definitely when that makeup is cheap. Today is True Love Tuesday. True Love Tuesday. Guys, we're doing a really good one this week in honor of Her Majesty the Queen. If you guys haven't heard, the Queen of England died. She died actually about 10 days ago, maybe a little more, plus or minus, but she did pass away, and I figured they had a pretty unique kind of love story, especially where royal romances are concerned. So I figured today we would honor her and talk about her and Prince Philip. So that is who we're talking about today. We're going to be doing this really, really pretty, incredibly easy eye look. It is this one right here. I have seen this kind of style of eye look going around everywhere. Everyone and their mama are doing eye looks that look just like this. I put my little mama spin on it. We're going to be using a NYX, this is the Epic Wear liner stick in the shade All Time Olive. I wanted to do something a little bit antique-y, of course something super sparkly and majestic, because we're talking about royalty today. And I wanted to do something a little bit classy, a little bit smoky, a little bit sexy. I don't know. I really, really like it. So we're pairing olive and gold today. I think it is so, so pretty. Not only is it very, very pretty, but guys, it is ridiculously easy. You just outline the eye, fill it in with some sparkles, and you're good to go. It is going to take us absolutely no time at all. So sit back, relax, get yourself a cup of coffee or a big old glass of sweet tea. I have a big old glass of sweet tea. And because I'm cheating today, I have a root beer. I love soda so much. It's cut out of my diet because, guys, it's pure sugar water, right? Not good for you. Not that my sweet tea is any better, but I feel a little bit better when I don't drink so much soda. But I let myself drink one root beer today, and when I tell you this was the most delicious, tastiest, effervescent, bubbliest, just goodness, oh, it's almost gone. I love root beer. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite soda? Mine is Coca-Cola first. I love regular Coke, I love vanilla Coke, and then I love root beer. I also really, really love cream soda. Oh, so many wonderful, wonderful, so bad for you sodas out there. It's terrible. So like I said, we're talking about the Queen today. I have, of course, my little notes over here on the side. So if I'm staring over in this direction, it is because I am looking at my notes. I definitely don't want to sit here and lie to you. So everything is written down over on my notepad over here, right, y'all? And we're just gonna dive right into it. So Princess Elizabeth, she met Prince Philip on a tour of the Royal Naval Academy. And she was 13 years old, and Prince Philip was 18. Was he 18? Yes, he was 18. And at this point, he was kind of like, it wasn't love at first sight. Because at this point, he was kind of like this very dashing, kind of debonair, he's an 18-year-old guy, right? And very, very handsome, and a prince to boot. Prince Philip was the Prince of Greece, and let me tell you the truth, because I have it all written down right here. So Queen Elizabeth, when she became queen of the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the Union of South Africa, Pakistan, and Ceylon. She became queen at 25 after her father, King George, died. She became queen in 1953. Prince Philip was the Prince of Denmark and Greece. And he is 18 when they met. He was, training, starting his naval career. She was on a tour, she laid eyes on him, and she was instantly infatuated. Like I said, strong, young, super, super handsome. She was instantly like, ooh. But of course, she was 13 at the time. He was 18. He was not necessarily super interested in her, and appropriately so. But the next time they met, they actually met at a play. They met at a play at during a play at Windsor Castle. And the princess was in the play. And he was sitting in the front row. And she kind of took this as kind of her chance, right? She's a little bit older now. And there's possibilities there now. So instead of her being all prim and proper, which of course she was, but she kind of used her wit and she made him laugh, right? And women say all the time that if a man can make me laugh, then it's a done deal. But it goes the very, very same for men. A lot of times if you can make a man laugh, you're pretty much in there. And she made him laugh, and he kind of was instantly besotted. And that is basically where their true relationship started. After that, there was a lot going on in the world. I think World War I started pretty soon after that. And of course, he's in the Navy and he goes off to fight. Well, during his time away, he wrote to Princess Elizabeth, and they wrote the entire duration of his tour. And let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Yes, he wrote the entire time he was away, and then as soon as he got back, he asked King George for Elizabeth's hand in marriage. Now, King George was a very devoted father. He very, very much loved his children, and he loved Elizabeth. I think there was a special relationship with Elizabeth because he knew that at some point she was going to take his place and she would become queen. So the relationship fostered between them. And, we only know as much about the royal family as they tell us. But I did stumble across a TikTok mentioning the relationship between King George and Princess Elizabeth. And on her wedding day, because they did, of course, eventually get married, he did allow her to marry Philip eventually. But on her wedding day, he wrote her this really beautiful long letter saying, "I feel like I'm losing something precious. You are the jewel in my crown." Basically saying, I love you so much. I am so happy for you. I wish you nothing but a happy and long life. But don't forget dear old papa, right? But he was a little iffy on Philip. And the reasons being is because Philip had German ties. He was kind of affiliated with old German royalty. And after World War I, everybody was trying to kind of really pull away from Germany and pull away from, it was just a bad look, right? And it almost cost Queen Elizabeth her true love because he was so closely tied to German royalty that King George almost didn't let it happen. But what Philip did to kind of grease the wheels a little bit was he ended up actually renouncing all of his titles. He renounced all of his titles. He kind of gave up that part of his life, walked away from the German royalty. He denounced his Dutch and Greek titles. He was like, okay, I'm no longer a prince. I'm still of noble birth, but I'm no longer a prince. And by denouncing all of his titles and things like that, King George was appeased enough that he ended up letting Princess Elizabeth marry Prince Philip. Now, like I said, he had to denounce all of his titles. I have been sitting here talking and haven't done any makeup. He denounced all of his titles. I want to, but the King George gave him new ones, and I want to tell you guys what new titles he had. But of course, I didn't underline anything, so now I'm just all over the place. I will get to it eventually. Okay, here is a fun fact. They were actually kind of technically related. They had the same great-grandmother, Queen Victoria. Yeah, they were both descended from Queen Victoria. She was both of their great-grandmother. And in the end, George agreed that to let them get married. They ended up being married on November 20th, 1947. Now, when it comes to the wedding, like I said, they're just coming out of a war. And this war has devastated Britain's economy. It's pretty much devastated the economies of just about everyone, right? It hit the people really, really hard. Food is scarce, money is non-existent, and morale is at an all-time low. And then you have Princess Elizabeth, who has always been such a good girl. She was beloved by the people even before she was queen. She was an easy person to like, right? She had this quiet strength about her that was just very endearing. And lo and behold, the people's princess is, she was, I guess, the people's princess before Diana. But the princess is getting married. And instead of, just kind of like putting it under the rug, making it, not really a big deal, King George kind of says, okay, well, let's take this as an opportunity to raise the country's morale. Because honestly, who doesn't love a wedding, right? Who doesn't love love? Everybody loves love, and everybody wants to be a part of, somebody's special day. So they ended up making the wedding, and not only did they make this wedding a big deal, but they did it so thriftily. Like, she resourced her gown. There were so many things that she did. The people ended up donating their rations for like the food and stuff. The whole country, instead of it just being the queen's wedding or the princess's wedding, it became a wedding for the country. Everyone was able to contribute something, and in doing so, felt like not only were they doing something for their country, but they were a part of something bigger than just themselves. And it really brought the country together in a big, big way. Her gown was absolutely stunning. And the wedding it went off without a hitch. There were, it was a chance to boost national morale. Her wedding was full of pomp and circumstance. Like, they pulled out all the stops for this wedding, and really just the grandeur, right? The royalty is something that we all kind of like romanticize in our brains, and they just kind of fully opened it up and fully like kind of opened it to the public, let the public be a part of the wedding in a big, big way. And onlookers, they waved the Union Jack and they lined the way. The carriage rolled by. There were 2,000 guests present at Westminster Abbey. Royals from across Europe and everybody came. Royals from across Europe came. Even the King of Iraq attended. There were just... It was a big deal. It was a big, big deal. One of the most memorable royal weddings in remembrance. And like the king of Iraq even attended. It's kind of crazy. And of course, after they got married, they moved into their own home and they started their own family. They ended up having 4 children. So they had first, their oldest was Prince Charles. Then they had Princess Anne, then Prince Andrew, and then Prince Edward. So within this period of them having their children, you know, they're newlywed. They're falling in love. They're figuring out, you know, what their roles are, what roles they're gonna play in the royal family. Basically, just figuring out their lives together. And then King George, he gets sick, and it's very, very hush hush. So Princess Elizabeth and Philip end up going in his place to to Africa. They go to Kenya. And they take a tour of Kenya and basically just kind of making they are representing the king. They're kind of just making the king's presence known, showing their support to, you know, the piece of Africa that they're in, and just kind of like being there, saying hello to the people, making connections, things like that. And during this tour, they go on safari, and Philip and Elizabeth, they fall even more deeply in love. They're just having, it's kind of like a honeymoon for them, right? They're staying in Kenya, but unfortunately, during this time, King George, he perishes. Now, King George passed away due to lung cancer. He had actually had a surgery beforehand to remove one of his lungs, and he got a little bit better for a little while, and then unfortunately he went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. And Princess Elizabeth had no idea. Now, she's no longer Princess Elizabeth. Now she's Queen Elizabeth. The very minute George passed, she became Queen Elizabeth. Now, they're on safari, they're on tour, they're not really near a telephone. She has no idea. She has no idea that her father has passed until they get back from safari and they get back to the place that they're staying. And then she finds out that she's the queen and her father has died. And like I said, she was super, super close to her dad. So finding out that her father had passed was a significant blow for her. But again, Queen Elizabeth is nothing if not graceful and poised, and she just rolls with it. That inner strength, that inner courage just kind of surges up. And why can I never get this side to look like this side? Oh, I guess they do. I'm so wrinkly, though, that it looks all wonky. So she finds out that her father has passed, but she comes back and she gets on a plane. She flies back to England. She accepts her role as Queen of England. And the entire time, Philip is right there. Now, I haven't spoken too awful much about Philip, but during this whole time, Philip is very prominent in the Royal Navy. The Navy is his career. He takes it seriously. He works hard. He is a loving father. He is a loving husband. He's just a really, really great man. And as much quiet strength as she exudes, he was the thing that kept her standing, especially after her father passed. He was really her strength. He was really her knight in shining armor, and really took his job as her husband very, very seriously. So they get back. She assumes the role of the queen, and the minute that she became queen, he became consort to the queen. I want to tell you exactly what this was, because it was like super important, and he actually had a role that was only held by like 2 other men before him. Okay, so he was, like I said, he had renounced his titles. He was no longer a prince. He was Sir Philip Mountbatten, Knight of the Garter. So, after she was crowned, until February 6th, 1952, when the king died, Elizabeth became queen. She and Philip were on tour of the Commonwealth in Kenya when they found out. George died at 56 of lung cancer. Philip became the royal consort to the queen, and only 2 men in history had held that title before him, which I thought was insane. You know, we think of, in my life, I know, we've always thought of England as a monarchy, right? But it's always been the queen, right? But for the most part, it's usually a king. So for the fact that kings are automatically more powerful than queens, right? It's just the way that it's set up. So he can't be king consort, right? So he's got to be consort to the queen. He's not allowed to have king in the title because that automatically makes him more important than her. So not only do his titles get taken from him, not only does he have to instantly stop his career in the Navy, he has to give up his career immediately. He's no longer allowed to walk beside his wife. He's no longer able to walk beside her. He has to walk behind her, slightly behind her at all times. At no point is he ever allowed to walk in front of her, or even like directly beside her, because it would be disrespectful. At her coronation, he vowed to be her liege man of life and limb, and so he was the liege man of life and limb and of earthly worship. Said his duty was first, last, and second, to never let her down. The devotion, right? The devotion that man had to Elizabeth was something a lot of us will never know or never understand, right? Because not only is she his wife, not only is she the love of his life and the woman he wanted to spend the rest of his life with, but she is his queen, right? So it's this whole other level of, I don't even know how to explain it. There's this whole, it's a mixture of both duty and love that builds one of the strongest bonds. And not only that, but Philip and Elizabeth had the longest marriage in British history. And one of the longest royal marriages in the world. They were married, they had the longest marriage in British royal history, which I thought was insanity. Not only that, but Queen Elizabeth was one of the longest reigning monarchs in history. She was such an important woman. She was such a strong, integral figure. And she was definitely somebody to be admired. Really, really, she took a very difficult job, right? And basically said, I've got this, don't worry. We're going to be all right. And her people absolutely loved her. Now, was she perfect? No, none of us are. But I do believe she did her absolute best to be the queen that she believed her people needed. And, she was not a very emotional woman. And a lot of that was bred out of her. You're supposed to be stoic and together and in control at all times. But on a rare occasion of sentiment, on a rare showing of sentiment, it was on her and Philip's 50-year anniversary. Could you imagine having a 50-year anniversary? I hope my husband and I get there. I really, really do. But she said on their 50-year anniversary, this was in 1997, she said, "He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has, quite simply, been my strength and stay all of these years. I and his whole family, and this and many other countries, owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim, or that we shall ever know." Basically saying that without Philip, none of this would have been possible. Philip was basically the one who kept her going after all of the tragedies and all of the sadness. He was her rock. He was what kept her going. And because he kept her going, he kept the country going. And the people of England owe him more of a debt of gratitude than he would ever let anyone know. And it just goes to show how much she truly loved her husband, especially for a queen who is known for being, look how beautiful that is. So this is, I'll put it down in the description, but this is the Profusion glitter pigment. It is absolutely stunning. Look how sparkly that is. But she is notorious for being unemotional and very, very logical at all times. But for her, and even this wasn't very emotional, but the fact that she even took the time to mention how important he was just goes to show you the sheer amount of true affection and true gratitude she has for this man. And again, we only know as much about their story as they want us to. But I think if you read between the lines and really think about how much sincere feeling is there, I just feel like what their love is truly one for the books. It broke all kinds of records. It was just, they must have truly loved each other. And especially, you know, you think about men now, and they lose their minds. They lose their minds if the woman makes more money than they do, or, you know, the power dynamics are so important to men, right? And you think about the fact that they can't handle it if the woman makes more money, or if she has a higher job, you know, whatever. But the fact that this man devoted himself to this woman, not only that, but she was his queen, and it didn't matter. He devoted himself to her entirely and completely, and never batted an eyelash at it. Never once stopped or grew resentful or hateful of the fact of that she was the queen and had quite literally all of the power in the world. And then not only that, but they grew and had 4 children together. They were married, in total, they were married for 70 years. Yeah, they were married for 70 years. She was the Queen of England for 74. It's truly, truly remarkable. I think she was a remarkable woman. I think that she was very, very special. She was very special. I think Philip was a very, very special man, especially to give up all of his birthright, to give up essentially who he was. He gave up his people. He gave up his, in order to be with her, in order to love her and protect her, and in order to devote himself to her, right? He renounced his title. He gave up his lands. It was a big sacrifice. I don't think anybody really talks about the sacrifices Philip made in order to be with Elizabeth. I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful story. Guys, this is pretty much the eye look. Very simple, but very, very pretty. I'm going to add a little bit of mascara. I lined both my upper and lower waterlines with this black pencil. And then I'm going to smudge this NYX. This is the All Time Olive Epic Wear Liner. I'm going to smudge that along my lower lash line for a smoky effect. I'm going to clean up some of this loose glitter, but look how beautiful and like reflective that glitter is. And first of all, the packaging is super, super cute. We're going to talk about this in my next video. I am going to do a little bit of a Profusion unboxing. It's going to be a blast. Nothing I got in that Profusion order was over like $6. I am so, so incredibly excited for it. I hope you guys tune in to tomorrow's video. Until then, my beautiful loverlies. Guys, I'll list everything I talked about in the description box along with the tags to my other socials. I will, of course, post finished pictures over on Instagram and Facebook. If you're not following me over there, you definitely should. Lots of good content, lots of fun content every single day. If you're following me everywhere, you don't have to worry about missing a single moment of it. And yeah, as always, no filters, no edits, no fancy lighting. It's just me sitting in front of my camera telling you guys a love story, playing with some makeup, hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.